Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Friday with the Jocks of All Trades podcast. This is another edition of Smashed Popcorn. I like the punchy thing. Uh, we haven't done it for a while, but we promised you on April Fool's Day that we would do Polka King. April Fools, we're doing it on the 22nd. Um, sorry, we just
What a great joke.
surprised.
Classic monkey shines we have here.
Yes. I am joined by Billy Martell of 1,000 Wives of Weird podcast. I almost said 1,000. I'm Southern. I'm used to saying 1,000.
You can say 1,000. That's fine.
Either one.
Yeah,
But either way,
number.
they're super funny. They cover weird and out there kind of movies. I'm sure Billy can explain some more. He's been with us before if you haven't seen him. But if you are seeing him now, this is Billy.
Hi. So as Brad was, he's over here. As Brad was telling you, I'm a co-host on 1,000 Wives of Weird. Myself and another guy named Brad's evil twin from another universe.
Yes.
We talk about weird, obscure movies. The way that we sometimes describe it to the people who come on the show as guests is like, is there a movie that you always want to talk about, but no one ever wants to talk about it with you? And that's kind of the vibe that we kind of go with, just like obscure, weird, bizarre movies. Not necessarily bad. We try not to think of weird as being a bad thing. Just like strange, unusual, not your everyday cup of tea. We recently were talking about. We have a couple episodes in the can right now that are going to be uploaded soon, talking about the 80s nerd classic Tron, talking about Matilda, but no, not the one that you're thinking of, but the one about the boxing kangaroo, and Elliot Gould somehow. Coming up this upcoming week, we're going to be recording an episode on Frankenhooker. Which I'm really looking forward to because it's from the director of Basket Case, and that's one of my favorite movies that we've watched on the show. So if you're if you like the sound of my voice, come over and check us out.
And you're on Spotify, and is it Spotify only?
We're on Spotify, and we're also on YouTube. All of our episodes are on Spotify. Most of our episodes are on YouTube, but not all. You can also find us. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and I think Instagram. But Evil Mirror Universe Brad runs the Instagram, and he's not very consistent with the updates. So you can more. It's better probably to follow us on Twitter because I run the Twitter, and I don't know how to shut up. Which explains why this promo segment has gone on far too long.
No, it's okay. I knew it. It's okay. It's part of your charm. I like it. If you don't know and you're still kind of on the fence about their podcast, it is a really good version of Mystery Science Theater 3000. If you could take please explain why this was ever made and it's terrible that you think the whole time during those movies. That's what they do. It's great.
Except with the caveat that we really like celebrating the movies rather than like sort of knocking them down.
Yeah.
With a certain couple of exceptions, there are some movies that even we're just like no, but most of the time we try and like art is cool. We like art.
Yeah. Speaking of movies that we're going to be about, without further ado, let's move into the Polka King. Okay, I want to cry.
Down to the death of my soul.
I want to cry. The first time I loved it because it was just Jack Black being Jack Black, and I'm like, all right, okay. The second time I watched this film, I was like, okay, all right. And what's annoying is a lot of it sticks in your head and it's very memeable. We'll get to that. What can we say without being spoilery before I put that up? Was it well cast? Is this a well cast movie?
I think in terms of there being a lot of really talented, awesome performers in the movie, yeah. Jason Biggs. No, not Jason Biggs. Jason Schwartzman. Sorry,
Yeah.
I always get their names mixed up. Not them, but like their names. Jason Schwartzman is in this movie, and I love him, and he's always great. He is, as most of the actors in this movie are, giving a career worst performance.
Yeah.
The actress who plays, I wrote this down, who plays Jack Black's character's wife.
Oh, Jenny Slate.
Jenny Slate. I love Jenny Slate. Jenny Slate's amazing. Parks and Rec is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yes.
And, you know, like, I think the internet has decided that her rendition of the classic song Don't Be Suspicious is, legendary throughout the land. This movie has JB Smoove in the movie. Like, there's some really great, fantastic comedic talent in this movie. But it sucks. And I think that it comes down to one very specific reason.
Okay.
And I don't think this is a spoiler. So if you don't mind me getting this out right out of the way,
Go for it.
basically my entire review. From what I've been able to glean, again, without going into spoilers, this movie is based on a true story.
Yeah.
It's essentially a biopic of this one very strange man and the very strange things that he both did and happened to him. And the problem is, this man that the movie's based on is still alive.
Yeah.
And I believe, from what I've been hearing, there's very little specific information about this, and his name is nowhere in the credits. But from what I understand, he had a big hand in the making of this movie.
What?
And
the movie no one asked for?
It's kind of like, this is a dark thing to bring up, but when Donald Trump was a guest star on SNL during his presidential campaign, and the big thing everyone said afterwards was there were no jokes, because you can't tell any jokes when you're dealing with a narcissist. And this guy is a criminal narcissist who made every choice based on what it meant for his image. So when they came to him and were like, hey, we want to do a funny movie about what a fucking weird dude you are, there are no jokes. There's not, I couldn't find a single goddamn joke in the entire movie. And so, so there's no laughs because there's no jokes. So like you failed at comedy, because if you decide that you're going to fall in with the personal universe of a narcissist, no comedy can exist, because a narcissist's entire thing is believing that the ridiculous shit that they do is amazing. And once you buy into that, there is no comedy. Comedy's dead. And so is the art of cinema.
Jack Black watched Borat so many times that he said, I want my own Borat film. That is essentially what, like, the funny part is that it's serious. Like, that's the funny part. Like, it's so memeable because you can tell it's so serious that it hurts. Like, why?
Yeah. I can see the Borat comparison. I think the Borat movies are brilliant.
I do too. This just missed everything that makes the Borat movies great.
Yeah.
There was no commentary on, like, political commentary. There was no funniness. There was no, we know what we are, so we're going to make fun of what we are. It was just
right. Yeah. The joke with Borat is that Americans have a built-in dismissive attitude towards foreigners, and isn't it funny how we can weaponize that against Americans? And this one is just sort of like the only joke that exists, because it's the only joke that John, Jan, he says he doesn't know how to
Yeah, I
pronounce.
know. I'm like,
Is the only joke that's there is funny accent man, and it's the exact opposite
yeah,
of Borat in that way. But
yeah,
and also just because we brought up Borat several times, this is not a movie where Jack Black goes around pretending to be a guy with real people, interacting with real people, because Jack Black's one of the most famous people on the planet. Sacha Baron Cohen can get away with that shit. Jack Black
cannot.
that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work for Jack Black.
No, it would not.
But yeah.
I don't think I can say anything else that isn't spoilery, so I'm going to go ahead and give our spoiler warning. You have been warned. If you watch beyond this point, it's on you. Okay, that should give you plenty of time to get out if you haven't already.
I just love
this movie. Like
it's the red alert. It's the red alert from Star Trek 2, and I love that as a Trekkie. I love that to death. But yeah,
I wanted everything we did to be based on movies, and I saw that and I was like, oh, this is brilliant. So
brilliant.
Where did we start with this film? Let's just go ahead and I'm going to open the floodgates here and just say I did like this film. I like to meme this film, and that's why I like it.
Okay.
But in terms of content, I don't like it. Like the second viewing was like, oh my god, like
I hated it. I hated it from about 15 minutes in. I was like, I got about 15 minutes in. Like, I didn't realize that. I looked at the time and I was like, oh, that felt like 2 hours. I thought we were almost done. Shit.
That's tough. We
so
gotta talk about
what about this movie? What about this movie do you find particularly memeable? You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. No, I'm kidding. You keep using that word, and I'm curious as to what are the memes that you would make on Polka King?
It's the Borat thing. Ziggy zaggy, oi, oi, oi.
Oh,
okay, like the stupid little things here and there. Mickey Pizzazz, you will now be known as Mickey Pizzazz. And you see Jack Black in the background, like gyrating. I'm like, can you just
sure.
It's okay, just act. It's okay to just act here. Like when we get mad, Jan Levon in this, I cannot take it seriously because the whole time he just, oh mama, we make the way with the polkas. I do it to come to America and make the polka. Like I told you, it's literally just Borat Jr. is what he tried to do.
Sure.
But when you hear like real Jan Levon, whatever his name is, when you hear his real voice, it's spot on, and I hate that. I hate everything about it. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I was.
Did you stick around for the ending song where they both were together? And
not only that, I looked up interviews with the real Jan Levon, and it is funny because again, you're watching this movie, and as we've talked about, like it does kind of just feel like a really lazy. Like you would go back to an episode. I keep referencing SNL this episode. You go back to an old '90s episode of SNL. Or even like earlier, and you're like, two wild and crazy guys, that kind of like, ooh, foreigners are weird kind of humor.
It's so true. It hurts.
Right. And then you go and you watch this and you're like, it's the same thing, right? But then you go and you find footage of this guy. It's exactly what he is.
I know, and I hate it. Like,
I can only imagine that, again, because there's something about this guy. There's something about, especially the way this movie was made and the lies they choose to tell and the stuff that they leave in that feels so like, I don't want to say that this guy's brilliant. He's not brilliant. He's not a genius. He's not like a criminal mastermind. He's an idiot. But there is something so calculated at the same time about it. There's something so sociopathic about this guy, and I grew to hate Jan Levon so much over the course of this movie, and I think that's what really drove me nuts. It wasn't that necessarily all of this movie is horrible, because there are scenes that I almost like. You referenced just then You shall be Mickey Pizzazz.
The anointing of Mickey Pizzazz.
There's a scene where, if you have ventured into the spoiler section without watching this movie, which you know what, you made the right choice. There's a scene where Jan Levon tells his best friend and band guy, Mickey, that the guy says, I don't like my name. I've always wanted to have a stage name like Mickey Pizzazz. And he says, well, you can just decide that something good's going to happen to you. Put it out into the universe on a mood board. Make a mood board on Pinterest. Put it out into the universe, and it will happen for you if you believe in it. And he says, well, I've always wanted to be Mickey Pizzazz. And Jack Black takes him down into a crouch, and he and Jason Schwartzman put their faces right up against each other. He's like, you shall be Mickey Pizzazz. And there's something about that in another movie could have been hilarious. But all I'm seeing when I see that is Jan Levon just getting off on what a messiah he is in this movie. So even things that could have been funny were like poison to me, because everything in this movie is all about cementing the legacy of what an absolute godchild Jan Levon is. He can't even make breakfast bad. He makes breakfast in the beginning of this movie for his mother-in-law, and it is the most perfect breakfast you ever saw. It is the kind of breakfast that Denny's only serves in commercials. Like, it's
I get it.
Good breakfast. And I'm just like that was the first indicator. When I saw that he could make he made perfect breakfast, I was like, why is that detail there? That's not funny.
Like, who cares?
That he made a perfect breakfast. Maybe I was tricked into watching The Room again. Because that's what Jan Levon really reminds me of. It isn't Borat, it's Tommy fucking Wiseau.
Yeah, that's fair. I get that.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that we should review at some point, there's a good one for you.
And Mickey Pizzazz is just
don't ask me for character names unless it's something I watch a billion times.
Who's his best friend in the room?
Hang on.
It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark. Mark. Mickey Pizzazz is Mark.
The fact that you could go through that and know exactly what it was, that was brilliant. Oh god, I loved that. That was great.
I had to play the tape.
I did not hit her. Oh hi, Mark. Yeah.
Hi, Mark.
Oh my gosh.
So I love it. There's just like the no nerves in the face where hi, Mark. Just completely dead.
It's like the Novocaine face.
That's exactly what it is. So let's not talk about that way more entertaining movie. Let's talk about Polka King.
Yes. So here's the really difficult thing. This is my favorite title card in this whole film. And I have to bring this up before anybody else says, well, it's just a movie. This really happened in Pennsylvania. So for all the Pennsylvanians that voted for this movie, yes, this did happen. I'm sure there are some exaggerations a little bit on certain things. Like you said, with Jan being the perfect guy that he is, which I noticed that too. We very gloss over the fact that like whether he knew what he was doing or not was wrong, which it really comes across. I wanted to talk about that. Let me hit that too here. He's an anti-villain, so it's very difficult the entire time to say, he's stealing from him. It's a Ponzi scheme. Nobody likes Ponzi schemes. Nobody thinks that's okay. But because he doesn't know better, and he's a charming, friendly guy, he works hard, he loves his family, but he's also technically committing financial fraud on a multi-million-dollar scale. Like, we gloss over things so much in this. And I wish we would talk about, like, he wasn't great. Like, they made out the mom, who was right the entire time, to be a psycho.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she actually had a relationship with Mickey, like in real life, but I wondered if they did that just to make her seem like crappy.
Yeah, it was super difficult to find like details about what really happened because unfortunately, basically what it comes down to is the stuff that people say about him, which is almost all in the movie, like the stuff that the FBI said about him, the stuff that the press said about him, and all that stuff. And then there's his side of things. And obviously, he's a criminal. And comes off to me, we can't really know, but comes off to me as something of a sociopathic narcissist, as I've said. Which is, again, why I compare him to Tommy Wiseau, who also comes off as a sociopathic narcissist.
Yes.
So, yes, for those who don't know, again, if you went into the spoiler section without knowing what this movie's about, Jack Black is Jan Levin, who was a polka musician who did, in fact, get nominated for, at least, if not win, a Grammy at one point for polka. I think the movie really skips over whether or not he won, which tells me he didn't. But
I think it skipped over. I don't think. Oh no, he didn't, because he said it's such an honor just to be nominated.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so he was a Polish immigrant who married some beauty contest winner in Pennsylvania.
Is it Hazleton? Hazleton. Where this was?
Yes, yeah. It was Hazleton. And he didn't have a lot of money to tour, I guess. He had a shop where he sold Polish knickknacks, and he started a Ponzi scheme where he would tell people, "Hey, invest your money with me, and you'll get 12 or even 20% returns." The movie says he only did 20% at the very, very end when he was truly desperate, but other sources I've found vary. In the movie, the way this is depicted is that not a single person was ever hurt by his schemes.
Yeah.
And that not only that, but all of the wild promises he made about the 12% or 20% returns were all absolutely true. And the people who wanted to buy out at various points along the way were perfectly happy with the service. The only reason why everything fell apart is because at a certain point, when everyone bought out at the same time, and essentially the that scene from It's a Wonderful Life happens, and like, hey, your money's not here, it's over in his house, it's in his house, it's all over the place. And that's essentially what happens, is that their money isn't here in this knickknack shop.
If that was George Bailey, actually, that was pretty good. George Bailey.
Thank you. George Bailey. Yeah. It's over here. It's over there. It's in all these other businesses that I'm doing that all totally would have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
Right.
Remember that time you tried to put a drill through your own head? That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me.
Right.
But so the movie is just sort of like playing out this thing, and it's playing out essentially the exact same thing that Jan Levin uses his defense in his trial, which was that if people hadn't snitched, everything would have been fine and nobody would have been hurt. That it wasn't his fault. It was all the fault of all the jealous bitches who he lived with, meaning his wife, his friends, and his mother-in-law. His wife is made out to be a nagging bitch in the movie, but is like given a little bit more leeway than his mother-in-law, who is made out to be essentially Gollum, like just a psychotic, horrifying troll in the film. And it's so deeply sexist. The whole movie is so deeply sexist. And I would argue a little bit racist, just from some of the cracks that JB Smoove has to deal with. Because and it's so weird, because you look into the credits of the people who made it. The writer of this movie was a writer on Fantastic Mr. Fox and Grand Budapest Hotel, which
are phenomenal films,
incredible movies. Like Grand Budapest Hotel is one of my favorite movies. Like it's great. And then you watch this, and it's so gutter trash bullshit. And I really think it has to come down to the fact that they had a sociopathic narcissist breathing down their neck. At the end of the movie, you have one of those biopic moments where the actor playing the character transitions into the actual person, which they do in a lot of biopics, especially for musicians. And you have Jack Black performing an actual song Jan Levon wrote in prison, and recorded and released after being released from prison, called the Polka Rap.
I have lived a vida loca, and now I'm rapping polka. That's stuck in my head. I want you to know that.
I'm glad that it's not in
no,
mine.
no.
It is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. It is bad. It is a bad song. I don't even really have a problem with polka. I grew up on Weird Al like everybody else.
Yeah.
And yeah. Also, by the way, how dare this movie claim that he's the Polka King in Weird Al's America? But
how dare they?
This is just a dumb joke. Anyway, but this movie has ruined me. But
Yes.
what was it? Even my train of thought. But yeah, but they cut to Jan Levon performing it.
Yeah.
Which immediately shows what a worse performer Jan Levon is as opposed to Jack Black. Jack Black, as bad as he is in this movie, is still Jack Black, and he's an incredibly charming actor. But what they don't show you when they cut is that there's a whole other verse to the polka rap that the filmmakers decided to cut, where Jan Levon literally says, "I did nothing wrong and no one got hurt," like over and over again, which is, according to what little factual research I could do, simply not true. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people got hurt. And there's no evidence to say that anybody bought out of his scheme and was totally fine.
Yeah.
That just, I mean, it could have happened. But we have no reason to think that it did.
Yeah.
And no one who was actually involved in the Ponzi scheme wants to come forward and talk about it because they got snookered into a Ponzi scheme. And that sucks.
Yeah, and I wanted to pull something else while you're talking about this. I pulled up the plot tag for this movie. Local Pennsylvania polka legend Jan Levon develops a plan to get rich that shocks his fans and lands him in jail. Even that sounds like he's fine if only he hadn't messed up. Oh darn!
Oh no!
Like
what a poor misunderstood dope.
I just wanted to see if that's like a general consensus or not, and it seems like it is. So we don't have this written, but what was one or two weird parts to this film? I have one.
Okay.
The first
one
or
for two weird parts.
Yeah. How about the Pope scene? Like, it was the only time we got a real unhinged Jan Levon. What? Who cares?
Yeah. Apparently he doesn't. So But yeah. So
we
yeah.
got the sweaty like I'm doing something that I shouldn't version of him, and I'm like, oh, I like this better. This is almost more interesting. I'm finally what's happening now?
That was the closest thing the movie came to admonishing him.
Yes, or some realism perhaps into the life of Jan Levon.
Even then, it turned around and turned into he's a messiah thing. But in real life, Jan Levon, as part of this whole thing, would take his investors on trips around the world, and on I guess a couple of occasions took them to meet the Pope. Jan Levon just was able to get an audience with the Pope. And I get from what little I could find, we don't actually know how he got to meet the Pope, aside from him just saying, "Oh, I knew him."
I think money. I think
that's the explanation that the movie comes up with, is that he straight up bribed a priest to get an audience with the Pope. But I guess it's happened multiple times. And it's so weird, but it's one of those things where it's so weird. You're like, this has to be a joke for the movie, but it's super real that this happened. The Polka King just had an audience with the Pope and a bunch of random Pennsylvanians that he was snookering out of cash.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the other second weirdo part to this. the beauty pageant. Again, another sign of realism. I'm like, cool, cool. Like, he fixed it. We know he fixed it, even though, no, mama, I would never fix the beauty pageant. Marla, you are so good. Like,
And that's just another thing. Like, it's so weird because so his wife gets sad because she doesn't feel like her own person, and she wants to enter a beauty pageant. He's like, sure, enter the beauty pageant. She wins, and then almost immediately afterwards, is asked to give the crown back because it is said that he fixed the competition. He paid off a judge, or he paid someone to change the votes, to change the scores. That's what it was.
Even better, they don't even directly blame him. They just say that's not the voting results that we had. I'm like, once again, we glossed over Mr.
True. Yeah. And the funny thing is, when you're watching the movie, Jack Black plays it like, in the actual scene where where the announcement is going to be made about who wins, he plays it like he genuinely doesn't know who's going to win. Like, he's sweating. He looks like he's about to have a stroke. And then you have a later scene where she says, "But I won. Like, there's no way that I didn't win, right?" And he says, "Oh, yeah, but we should probably just give the sash back. This could be bad. Like, this could be bad for business." And she's like, "No, I'm going to stand up for myself." He's like, okay. So the movie, to its credit, does not come out and say he definitely didn't do it. But there's clearly like some sort of like playing with it being done here to try and, again, appease this weird creep that we have in the back. To be like, let's play this enough so that you could interpret it that he definitely did it, because the things that he's saying definitely seem like he definitely did it. But you could also interpret it as if, like, no, he definitely isn't, but he's just like trying to be the bigger man and being, being cautious about everything, and we should just like let this go. We should just let this go. The important thing is that we know that we won. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. And then they also play up the contestant who supposedly actually won as a cartoonishly evil, jealous bitch, as they do with every woman in this movie.
Yeah, the feministic value of this film, you're not watching this to say they did such a great job with this character that's a female. No.
You'd be hard pressed to. Oh my god!
Even the bear. Think about the bear. The bear.
Oh, the bear. Oh,
Beatsy Bear.
Who plays Beatsy Bear?
Oh, someone from SNL.
Yes, it's like actress from SNL that I really like.
Yes, and I can't ever think of her name. I know she's always in like the fake commercials and stuff.
I have her written down somewhere.
Vanessa Bayer.
Vanessa Bayer, yeah.
Bayer.
I love Vanessa Bayer, and in this movie she plays a horny lady who dresses up as a bear, which sounds like a character that Vanessa Bayer would be born to play. And honestly, yeah. But like, the movie does not give her anything to do. Watching her play a bear and dance around a stage was possibly the closest I came to actually laughing in the whole movie. But again, like, yeah, it's just sexist stereotypes about like, oh man, how like, oh, she's just so sex hungry that she's ruining everything.
Yeah, like, it's always the female character that's the problem. Even notice that when we see Ed and Anita, the people that are constantly giving money to him, who was it that made the comment at the end about we almost got him? It wasn't Ed. We don't ever get really Ed's perspective on anything. We get Anita. Even Anita pushes to say, well, no, we need to put the money in. Like, it's always bad choices in this film.
Anita is played up as both the most gullible of the two and also the most shrewish and the most needy. It's a film from the mind of a deeply misogynist asshole who needs to believe that he's the best guy in the world, and therefore he needs an easy scapegoat, like all narcissists do, an easy scapegoat to blame all of his problems on. And for most narcissistic sociopath men, women have been the answer to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's nothing special about Jan Levon, even though he really thinks there is. I also love that in every part of the promotional material for this movie, and Jan Levon did a lot of promoting for this movie.
Yeah, of course.
He and Jack Black performed together at whatever film festival this premiered at. They performed live together, and all this stuff. And he always says, "Oh yes, and I'm working to pay back." It even says in the credits to this movie, "I'm working to pay back all the money that I owed. I'm going to pay back every single one with proceeds from my polka stuff." And he's retired, so he's not actually even performing. So no. He just likes to say that because it feeds into this whole idea.
Of course they did.
Oh God.
Of course they did. Yeah, I love that. Oh my God.
If that's true, any kind of mystique Coachella ever had just like disappeared.
Died.
But yeah,
Alvin, I know you haven't watched this film, but if you ever do, I'm so sorry, and you should anyways.
Aubin, I don't think we've ever shared even a bit of a conversation, Aubin, but I'm telling you as someone who cares about you as a fellow human being, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. I started before the other day when I saw this, I believed in the art of cinema. Nega Brad, the one that I do the Thousand Wives of Weird with podcast, he texted me after the movie. He was like, "Have you seen Frankenhooker yet? It's so fun." And I'm like, I don't believe in the concept of fun movies anymore.
This was one of those interesting ones. So I know we usually get to this point in the podcast, and I have to ask you, what did you like about this film? Nothing.
No, there was one
joke. Had a start and an end.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like some of the performances. Like, it was very interesting to see his brainchild of how he believes that he deserved to be treated and all that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
this story is interesting. Like,
it is an interesting story.
Some polka guy Ponzi schemes people out of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I'd like that. Cool. Aubin does know Brad, I think.
Yes, yeah. Brad has spoken to me about Aubin before. He thinks very highly of you, Aubin, by the way.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I could bring Aubin in, but Aubin hasn't seen this, and he told me. So I'm not gonna do that to him. But I mean, it's not horrid. It's just not. There's nothing that I want to love about this film at all. But I do love that it's very memeable. Like, I can just think about it throughout my day and just laugh because it's that bad. Like,
yeah, I have so for me it's I don't remember who I first heard say this. Someone said, "Hey,
I'll bring myself in just because I can." So I
sure.
Just say hi.
Hi.
Gus, what are you doing?
We have cats. He has dog. So me too. I do that with Spunky.
He has dog.
He has dog. We have cat. So we both get interruptions, anyways.
Sure.
Anyway,
so Aubin, what do you think of this movie you've never seen?
You know, from everything that you've said this entire episode, I think it's a shame that Jack Black didn't win an Oscar. You know, there are some times when actors just truly deserve for their performance. Like, you know, for example, everyone knows that Leonardo DiCaprio definitely deserved it for The Revenant, one of the most boring movies in cinematic history. But Brad, It was 3 hours of watching one man survive impossible situations. The
Yeah.
movie was made literally just to be able to justify finally giving DiCaprio an Oscar. There was
It
no
was.
point.
I
right.
I enjoyed the bear
no
attack.
point of
That's
premise
the
to
only
the film
good scene.
at
That's
all.
the only good scene.
He gets eaten by a bear and somehow survives with no medicine.
Well, yeah, that's just how everyone's soft now.
By sleeping inside of a horse. I mean, it just like there's no point to the movie.
No.
Mhm.
But if Leo can win for that, there's no reason that Jack Black should not have won for Polka King, which I've never seen.
Yeah.
So, you know.
if you got some rum and coke and it's a lazy Saturday, this would be a great thing to turn on and just hope you fall asleep.
Hey. There it is.
They don't sponsor.
Oh yeah.
No
Yeah,
sponsors.
cover that label that already got shown off. Good.
Just in case anybody's watching, they didn't sponsor the show.
Oh yeah.
The trailer for No Way Home. Oh no, let's hide the lizard that's getting kicked sideways. That shouldn't show that anything's gonna happen. Let's just leave that trailer up and tell you no one's coming in.
Oh my God! Do you guys remember when the first trailer for the Tom Cruise Mummy movie dropped, and they forgot to add the music?
Yes. It was so bad.
It was so funny. It was the best. I'm sorry, am I bothering you? Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he's sitting like right next to my microphone, and he's just like keeps yelling at me to shut up because I'm interrupting his nap time.
Oh, well.
There are other rooms you could go into, bud.
So small.
Oh, cute. Here, I'll show you mine. All right.
That's what we're doing.
Knocked over the mic. All right.
Because this is more interesting than Polka King.
No, seriously though.
Hi, baby Gussie.
What's your pup's name?
This is Augustus, or Gus for short, because the owners of this wonderful animal before we got him spelled his name stupidly, so now it's just Gus. We spelled Augustus Augustas. So we call him lovingly
Augustas.
Yeah. We lovingly call him Augustas, but quite simply just Gus most times.
Oh. And what's your kitty's name, Brad?
This is Spunky. Zeke is our scaredy cat, so I won't be able to grab him.
That's okay.
But this
Spunky's
is our big
adorable.
lovey boy. Every time you share pictures of Katniss, this is who I think Katniss looks like.
Yeah. I was gonna say much more of a cat look.
And then we have this beautiful dog.
I loved you in 101 Dalmatians.
Stellar performance. You just gonna sit in my lap for a minute? Good.
And this is Ticket.
Oh, I like Ticket.
Yeah, for short, Golden Ticket is his full name.
So you also have an orange cat with one brain cell?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have a Dalmatian with no brain cells.
Yeah, what did you say?
I have a Dalmatian with no brain cells.
I've heard that about Dalmatians. I've heard that about Dalmatians.
Yeah, he's not.
When I was a kid, 101 Dalmatians was like my favorite movie, and I begged my parents for a Dalmatian. They're like, we will negotiate about a dog in general, but a Dalmatian is out immediately. If that's where negotiations are going, we're done.
Ouch.
I mean, I know he's great, but he's not the smartest dog ever.
That's all right.
Anyway, back to this Oscar-winning film.
Yes.
I have trivia, and then we're going to round it out with grading.
Oh, real quick. The one thing that I kind of liked about the movie is the moment when the mother-in-law went into Jan Levon's office and saw a whole bunch of file cabinets tied up in chains. That was like one of the only times that I kind of laughed. I didn't laugh because at that point I was in such a depression hole. That joy was a far-flung concept, but it like a spark, like a little light in the darkness went off, and I was sort of like, "That's funny." And then, the rest of the movie happened, and here
we are.
Wait for death.
I get it. Did you have any trivia? I had a hard time getting good trivia for this, so I have some things.
Yeah. Most of the trivia that I have. I've already said, really. Like,
Okay.
it just like the stuff about Jan Levon, who he really was, and the mostly the stuff that's again mostly speculation from me that he is a narcissistic sociopath. I should have been, for legal purposes, putting a lot of allegedlys around those, but like,
Oh, right.
so let's retroactively say that every time I said that, it was a joke. But yeah, so allegedly a narcissistic sociopath, because it's again just purely me speculating.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of that, a lot of the actual facts of the things that happen in this movie and what people say about him, his interactions with people, are for the most part very accurate. It's just the way the movie chooses to interpret them.
Yes.
There are very few, like for instance, apparently the scene in the laundromat where Marla is Jan Levon's wife in the movie, not her real name in real life. But in the scene where Marla encounters a friend from high school and she's like, I knew you when you were nobody. And she's like, I wasn't ever nobody. I was always me. That is basically adapted word for word from a story that the real life version of Marla tells in a documentary that this movie is primarily sourced from. So they did do their research. The problem is, again, there are only two sources for this. There is the people who prosecuted them and the people who it is very much in their best interest to spin this in a way that they look good.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, again, this is a fascinating story. And I think maybe when Jan Levon is dead, by my hand, allegedly, we will get a great movie based on this at some point. But it is not this day. This day
I will be happily looking forward to that. Speaking of what you just were saying about somebody needs to spin it a certain way, did you know he was actually there for the Sundance Film Festival screening? Like, he showed up to see it. I'm like, yeah, of course you did, because if it wasn't what you wanted, you would have said, don't do it, kill it.
Right? Yeah. No. I think I said, like, he and Jack Black performed a duet at the screening.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. I got something for you.
Go for it.
Simply because I was curious, and as great as the movie has been described, I just had to know.
Yeah.
Did you know, as awful as you described this movie is, Rotten Tomatoes does not rate this as his worst movie he's ever done?
Yep.
Jack Black, you mean?
Yes.
What's his worst?
Is the worst? I'm curious.
It has to be this, because I don't think you can get worse than a 20%. I genuinely don't think you can get worse than a 20%.
There are 0 and or 1%.
Oh, that's
Rotten Tomatoes.
Did you just feel like if somebody really, like, movies are expensive to make, so you think if you're going to spend that much money, you should get higher than like 5%, right? So Gulliver's Travels is a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I thought so,
and I've never seen it because I don't care. But this is where I have a problem with. So this movie, Polka King, is like a 60%, I think. But one of Jack Black's best movies that he has ever made is only a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't know if we can trust it anymore. Nacho Libre was only rated a 40%, and that is a cinematic masterpiece.
It is.
I adore that.
We will be reviewing that next Wednesday, I think. So
I might have to rewatch it. I think I have rehearsal next Wednesday, actually, but I might have to make it because that is one of my favorite movies. I ate some bugs, I ate some grass, I used my hand to wipe my tears. I mean, you can't. I mean, that moment alone puts that movie top. I mean, Nacho Libre is. It's up there with like Napoleon Dynamite, with a terrible, terrible movie that just you can't help but love.
I've never seen Nacho Libre. You're making me want to check it out. But I remember when that movie came out, I remember it was directed and created by the same guy who made Napoleon Dynamite. and it was marketed as the big follow-up to that movie.
It's
And
so good.
I only just because when Napoleon Dynamite came out, like the hype was too strong for me. I was like, I don't. This movie's too popular. I won't watch it. And I'd only just watched Napoleon Dynamite for the first time, like sometime within the past year, and I absolutely adore it. I think it's great. And so I guess I have to check out Nacho Libre now.
Hey, will you be busy next week?
You can't get much better than Nacho Libre, in my opinion.
Sure.
If we have to do a different date, we can.
I have rehearsed like 4 days next week, but I can let you know.
We'll figure this out when we're not recording an episode.
Perfect. That's fine.
It's like we have a group chat. I don't know. It's weird.
In that case, let's grade it. Billy, I am excited. I already know, but I'm excited to hear what you have to say about your grade for this film. We do a 0 through 10 rating. You can do like 6.7, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And we have different phrases, different awards for each one. Would you like to go ahead and give us your grade, and we'll put up the award that this movie receives?
Sure. My rating for this movie is what is it out of? What's the number?
0 to 10.
Okay. 0. 0 out of 10.
Oh.
And the award is titled, since the title didn't come up for it. Hang
on. I need one second.
That is one big pile of shit from Jurassic Park. There you go. That is one big pile of shit. My criteria for a bad movie is different, I think, than some other people's. It's better. No, my criteria for a bad movie doesn't necessarily mean that the movie itself is just of a bad quality, because that is entirely up to the viewer. There is someone on this planet who thinks Manos: The Hands of Fate is the best movie they've ever seen.
Every time you're on here, you bring up that movie. And I've seen it thanks to Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Sure.
Yeah.
And their opinion is just as valid as mine or yours or anybody's.
Right.
What really makes me mad about a bad movie, because again, I do genuinely think of cinema as an art form, is when people with all the money in the world, when all the resources, put together some sort of cynical, tasteless, completely effortless piece of shit. And a movie that has this much talent on screen and this much money behind it, and this much talent behind the camera, again, the writer of Grand Budapest Hotel has no right to make something this unwatchably, unfunny, uninteresting. I was offended by this movie. Like I fucking hate this movie with a burning fiery passion of 1,000 suns.
And I appreciate you for sitting through it to help me with the review.
honestly, we were originally going to record this right after I watched it, and it's good that we gave it a day, because like I was that right after the movie, we would have turned on the camera and would have been like
You gotta do the Novocaine mouth too.
Just oh, hi, Brad. Yeah, that would have been the whole movie.
Oh, hi, Brad.
That would have been the whole episode. So it's up to you whether you think that would be better or not.
Well, not by much, truthfully. I only give it a 1.9.
Sure.
And this will also be the same award. I only have to give it this because it's memeable. I enjoy the accent to the point that I can just literally just razz on it all day. I don't enjoy that the now I'm rapping polka is in my head all the time. Like I want that to go away. But other than that, like having like that Borat level memeable kind of voice is excellent. I just wish that Jack Black had more, I guess, with this. But what can you do when you have a script that's not going to give you much, and a story that's interesting, but not like a whole full feature length movie about it? Like I'm cool with the doc, but like
sure,
once you do like a movie about it, like you have to spice it up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't spiced up. Like you and I think we both knew he was going to have to meet the Pope, right? You and I both knew he was probably going to fix the pageant because of how he was acting. Like there was tension, there was no suspense, there was nothing. It was just here's the story of Yan Luan. Like,
right.
What do you do? So I'm with you on that. It was serviceable.
And the most important opinion on this episode, Abin, what do you rate this movie?
I'm gonna go a little away from the crowd here because I don't understand. As someone who's never seen the movie, I'm gonna give it a solid 5.
Wow, okay.
Because I've never seen it, so I don't know if it's good or bad. So it's got to be right in the middle because I've never seen it, and I don't have the intention of watching it. So it's not gonna go anywhere. It's just gonna stay at a 5.
Yeah,
because I just have it just
right
in the middle. It's the description. It was okay, but I wouldn't own it. That's good.
10 would be a disgrace to Nacho Libre. 0 would be a disgrace to the Revenant. So 5 has to be somewhere in the middle, and I just have to be okay with it.
A 0 would be a disgrace to the Revenant.
Ouch.
I watched that movie in theaters, and I regret all 3 hours.
See, I didn't. I went to what was the other movie that was out at the same time? It's Tarantino's film where they're all in the cabin.
Hateful Eight.
Whoever it was that should have got eaten by a bear, they might have won an Oscar. Just saying.
I've actually never seen Revenant, basically because of what you're talking about. Like the hype around the movie was very much like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay.
It wasn't marketed well when it came out. It wasn't presented well. The movie itself, I like some of the history aspects to it, but sure. Aubin's right. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief stuff of surviving in a horse carcass. Mm-hmm. It's just a revenge film. That's the whole plot is his. Do you know what happens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole revenge plot. I get you killed my boy.
Yeah.
So,
and now we have God of War 4 for that. I assume. I don't actually know.
Yes, congrats for killing Venom, Eddie Brock. Good for you.
Back then he was just Tom Hardy. We didn't think of him as Venom yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Now he's just Venom forever.
Yeah, it's true.
His most iconic performance.
We need to talk about Venom. We need to talk about that movie because
I haven't seen that one either.
I'm not going to jump.
What year did that come out?
Revenant?
2018.
No. Well, we're talking about Tom Hardy, right?
Venom?
Yeah.
Well, he was
Venom
Bane.
was very recent.
He was Bane. He was in Inception, which
I
never seen.
Oh, I always forget he's Bane because of the...
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I mean, he was a very popular actor before Venom. That's why he got Venom.
But now that's all people know him as.
It's like with Tom Holland. Tom Holland wasn't super well known, but now he's Spider-Man, no matter what else he does.
Ever since Venom came out, all I hear about Tom Hardy is just Venom. And before that, he was very popular. People would talk about all sorts of things about him. And now Venom happened, and it's just like, oh my God, I hope that he and his weird slime husband are happy. And I haven't seen this movie, but the sentence "he and his weird slime husband" makes me really want to.
Are you insinuating that Venom is the icon for the gays? That this is the gay movie is Venom?
According to Tumblr, yes. I have not seen this movie. I
always thought it was the Babadook. I really did.
The Babadook was a gay icon for a while.
Okay.
His star has somewhat fallen. Bruno's never been a gay icon. But Eddie and Venom shippers are very vocal on Tumblr.
I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Right. I have a question.
Answer.
This is very important for no reason.
Sure.
I have a game that we play in my family. It's called $1 Million. But
okay.
So you get $1 million, But for the rest of your life, the only movie you can watch is The Polka King. Are you taking the money?
No.
I'd like to have a house and live somewhere in feudal America. I'll take the $1 million.
I can't live in that world.
I
can't live in that world.
Every time you and Devin go, you go to the movies, the only thing you're allowed to watch is Polka King. You stay at home, you want to put on Netflix,
Fine.
The only thing you can watch is the Polka King.
Oh no, suddenly I want to play my PS4 more. Darn.
See, that's the thing, is that's the thing. You have other things you can go to. You have other things you can do. This is all I have.
That's true.
This is like, it's just the movies, TV. That's my entire brain box. I can occasionally read comics or books, but movies is just, that's it for me. That's what my entire like ADHD, possibly autistic, I haven't been diagnosed yet, brain can do, is that.
If it makes you feel better, I feel that I too have a touch of some of those things.
Sure.
Probably more ADHD with lots of other things that are happening in my brain.
All my best friends are neurodivergent. It's fine. It's not an issue. It's just a fact. And
what flavor are you?
Yeah, exactly. It's just I only bring it up to is the idea of my brain is that kind of brain that just grabs onto something and that's the thing for forever. And that's sort of that's movies. So yeah, I couldn't as life-changing as $1 million would be. It's that kind of thing of hey, you can live forever, but all food will taste of ash. It's just then what's the point? What's the point of living?
But I wouldn't live forever. I'd have $1 million to buy a house, pay off debt, and then.
I'm going with a different would press the red button and see what happens situation right now. Yeah.
Take the blue pill. Not the red pill. Take the blue one. Go back to sleep.
Oh man.
Wait. Oh, now I'm suddenly questioning all my Matrix knowledge. It is the blue pill. That's the one he's like, take the blue pill and then you'll wake up and never forget what happened. Or if you take the red one, you go down the rabbit hole, Neo. I don't remember. That's not how he talks, but
I would love to hear what the Matrix.
I think that was the Muppet Matrix. I'm not sure. I think.
Why are we in this film? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I can imagine though, Kermit on the big Morpheus chair, and then just his little useless arms turning over and having the pills.
Well, you take the red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah. Kermit's definitely getting frustrated, and he's got the little. My favorite thing is I love them. I love the Muppets.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Kermit is when he's upset, and you just see the little folds in the top of his head. You cannot, and his face. You cannot get better than Kermit.
So good.
I mean, it's just great. It's just great.
So the Muppet movie, I think the Muppet movie is a legitimate masterpiece.
Every single one of them. They're all
most of them, but the first one especially, that ending scene where you realize the entire movie's just been sort of a metaphor for them doing a victory lap of isn't it stupid that we somehow got famous for doing this shit? But hey, you guys got us here. Thank you. And you're life's like a moonbeam, write your own ending, and I just bawl. It's so good.
Jim Henson made a lot of money and would never need to do anything else, and he still did, and he still made a lot of money. You get Muppets, Sesame Street, what the hell, Fraggle Rock,
dinosaurs,
puppets. It's just. Then you get Frank Oz and Star Wars, and that it just I think we can be thankful to Jim Henson for Star Wars at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yoda,
Frank Oz wouldn't have been on the map like that, I don't think, if that never happened.
he did this, like, we really need to do a 1000 Wives of Weird episode about Dark Crystal, because that movie is such a weird beast. But like but with that sort of thing, like he never stopped being like, what's the next thing we can do with the Muppets? Like, we've done Sesame Street, what's something that we can do? And he created the Muppet Show. Okay, we can do like, and then Fraggle Rock, we're going to teach kids about death and the AIDS crisis through Fraggle Rock. And then we're going to do Dinosaurs, where we're going to teach kids about how your parents don't actually know what they're doing, and every decisions that adults make are going to lead to the destruction of us all. And then he was like, let's do a dark fantasy with Muppets. And he made Dark Crystal, and nobody saw it. So he's like, okay, well, I'll put a couple goofy Muppets in, and David Bowie with way too tight pants. And they're like, okay, we'll watch it if it's that. And Labyrinth was way more successful. But yeah, it's just absolutely one of my heroes, Jim Henson.
So Muppet movie reviews in the future is what I'm hearing.
Hey, I'm there.
Cool. Because I think Kyle and I were the only two that were like, I got to do Muppets in space. Like, I just need a whole episode devoted to Muppets in space.
You do a whole episode on the entire catalog of the Muppet Show. I mean, there's just the Muppet Show was just. I mean,
Show was so good.
I remember watching the VHS tapes, just sitting there. Harry Belafonte, one of the best episodes of the Muppet Show ever. You got the Banana Boat song, which is hilarious. The spider shows up.
Oh my god, I haven't seen that episode yet. I need to watch that one.
I mean, phenomenal, top to bottom. It's just great.
The Star Wars episode always brings very happy memories to me. Something about Mark Hamill yodeling or gargling Gershwin, whatever. Like, I love that whole episode.
Oh, man,
Darth Nader.
I love that.
I love it.
Kaylee and I have Disney Plus right now. We've been working our way through the Muppet Show catalog, and we've been like just sort of like going through, but just not watching every episode, but just kind of going through by celebrities that we want to watch in it. So far, the only dud has been the Chris Christopherson episode, in which Chris Christopherson seems high the entire time. Like, he keeps laughing in the middle of scenes when he shouldn't be laughing. He just can't stop touching Miss Piggy. It's so weird. It's like the only time a celebrity came on the show so far that we've seen, and they ended up looking really bad. Most of the time, they end up looking great. The Vincent Price episode as well. As a gigantic classic horror fan, Vincent Price's episode is beautiful. But I am so stoked for that Harry Belafonte episode. That sounds amazing.
Great.
It is. If you've hung out with us this long, thanks for hanging around for future potential episode stuff. Aubin, thanks for dropping by. I kind of made you on accident. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was just sitting in here in the background because, so for those of you who wondering who I am, I'm not important whatsoever. But I designed the background for their podcast, and I was watching the episode, and I was staring at it originally. And the more I stared at it, the more I hated it. And because I was watching and I'm the one who made it, I was like, I need to do something about it. So I texted Brad and I said, hey, I'm going to jump in the show and do some stuff in the background. So when stuff starts changing, don't worry. It's not just like don't bring me in because I'm not ready to do a show. But I'm just going to be messing with stuff. So that's the only reason I'm here. And then my name kept coming up, so I decided to say hello.
Yeah, that's good.
Have we ever actually met in real life, Aubin? I don't remember.
Only if you would have come to a show. I don't think so.
I know that I saw you. Yeah.
I mistake you and Ben Hartman a lot. So every time I look at you, I think about Ben. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I saw Ben in the show. I saw you with the show with Brad at CTF. And then I remember you're not Ben.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've actually met in person.
But he was in that show, so...
Did you see the Reduced Shakespeare Company play that me, Brad, and Ben were all in? Because if you did, that must have been real trippy for you.
Yeah, well, funny story.
Yeah.
Before opening night, because I wasn't able to see the show, I was rehearsing Oh, what the heck show was I in? To Kill a Mockingbird? No, Driving Miss Daisy. We were on the
Okay.
3rd floor. That's where you were rehearsing.
Yes.
And I was actually in the audience like the night before you opened. There was a couple people there, and I only stayed for
because
a
Tim
little
was
bit.
there too.
And Brad brought me on stage, and I ruined
Correct.
everything on purpose because I knew the show. Like, I knew the show, and I know how
Right.
it
Yeah.
works. So I just was like, Brad, you tried it, but I'm gonna mess you up. And then I was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
so I was briefly on stage with you all. So that would have been yes.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So I'm a jerk.
So you met
Okay.
once.
No, I get the Ben Hartman thing though. I truly do. But yeah, I've heard about you from Negative Universe Brad, and yeah, he speaks very highly of you, and I did see you in To Kill a Mockingbird. You did a great job.
Can I be Bizarro Brad from now on?
Do you want to be Negative Universe Brad?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to, like, it's your show, so I want to prop you up. But okay, you can be Bizarro Brad, and my Brad is the good Brad. Okay, that works.
Okay, that works.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. There's a video. I follow this YouTuber called Thought Slime. Very anarchist political YouTube stuff. But he was doing a awesome. He was doing a video where he was responding to someone else's take on something, and his name is Matt, and this other guy's name is Matt, and he was like, I really want to steel man this guy's positions and not come off as if I'm just like making a straw man out of him or anything. So in the interest of charity, because his name is Matt and my name is Matt, I'm going to call him Strong Matt, and I'm going to call me Stink Matt.
I like it though.
I really that tickled me. I enjoyed that.
I will happily be Stink Brad or Bizarro Brad or something. I'm cool with that.
Okay, you're Stink Brad, and my Brad is Strong Brad, which I just realized sounds a lot like a character in a lot of videos that came out when I was in high school.
Oh, I'm curious.
Do you guys not know? Do you guys not know about Strong Bad? Not a lot of Homestar Runner fans in this podcast today.
Homestar Runner was a fever dream, and great. Yes, I very much. Every time I talk about it, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who's ever known what it is.
Yeah.
All my friends know, and I'm older than all of my friends by a couple years, but like I remember Homestar. It was freaking great. And Brad, you don't know it, so what the hell?
I was not a big Homestar Runner fan back in the day, but my brothers were obsessed with it, so I got a lot of that through them.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Brad's edification, although maybe you're more entertained by just not knowing what the hell we're talking about.
Kind of, yeah. I like the suspense. I like the mystery because if I don't know, I'll go check it out. Yeah,
I will just say there was a day in
don't waste your time. It's not worth it, but
it really isn't. But there was a day in the history of the internet.
Oh no.
When YouTube wasn't the top dog, and there were a whole bunch of other websites that would just host their own videos. Yes. And it was a lawless time when you weren't sure if you were coming across a comedy video or just straight up porn. And it was always kind of a roll of the dice. Let's see what we're finding today. Is my mom going to be mad at me when she finds the history today? I don't know. Homestar Runner was one of those things where you just kept like, it was like a site dedicated to just this one thing. Yes. And it was a very bizarre thing with a very specific sense of humor that I have never been able to quite clue into personally, but I kind of get why other people find it funny.
I only watched it when I was in New York with my cousins.
Sure.
As I would have never been allowed to bring that to my house. There's simply no way.
That's why I don't know what it is. Got it.
Yeah, my brothers watched a lot of it in secret. I will say that. If you wanted some stuff that was like truly vile, you went to newgrounds.com, which had some of the most offensive Flash animations ever, including the Flash animated parody of Back to the Future that eventually Strong Bad. There he is.
I forgot about
that. Including the Flash animated Back to the Future parody that eventually turned into Rick and Morty.
Oh.
Yeah, the creator of Rick and Morty, when his first draft of Rick and Morty was a short Flash animation on newgrounds.com, which was a joke about, and I know you've said that you don't mind me being a little bit blue on this show. This is going to be very blue, where Doc Brown, who just has Rick's voice from Rick and Morty, he was like, Marty, the only way we can power the ship is if you just like suck on my balls, Marty. You got to suck on my balls, Marty. That's the only way we can get back to the future, Marty.
This explains a lot.
That was the whole short, and then eventually he was like, let's make it into a series.
It is. I'll give it. It's a good series, but that explains a lot for a
never seen a single episode.
Yeah.
This has been the episode where Billy just reveals all the absolutely essential
secrets of the universe
he missed out on, like Revenant and the Harry Belafonte episode of the Muppet Show. Classics.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us out then. Thank you both for joining.
Even longer than either of the other two episodes I've been on for.
It's okay.
Anytime I show up, the episode extends by 45 minutes. Every time I end up. It is without fail that if you do not have me on the show if you want to stick to a time. This doesn't happen.
That's what I always say. That's what I always say.
I host my own podcast because I get to set up what time it is. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah. So thank you both for coming. Let's not review something half as horrible next time. The next things we will be reviewing, if you haven't been keeping up with us on social media, we will be reviewing The Lord of the Rings, and we decided we'd throw in the Hobbit movies as well, because why not? So if you're interested in being a guest or interested in watching, those will be coming up in May, but I don't know when in May. So I'll keep you updated. And that's everything. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Absolutely.